I'm Joe Raik. I'm the co-founder and artistic director of Occupy Verona. So, do you want to start with the smaller stuff and wait for Mia? I started in 2012 with a friend of mine. We were talking about what our next show should be, and we came up with a bunch of different ideas. And doing Shakespeare out on the street spontaneously without a permit seemed like the cheapest and certainly one of the most fun ideas that we thought of.
Is there anyone here who can do Fight Call who is in costume?
I'm Laurel Andersen, and I am directing all 3 productions for Occupy Verona this year. I am kind of a huge nerd, so all through high school I was a big reader, encountered the text as I think a lot of people do for the first time in high school, but was actually always really excited to be reading aloud in class. I had a teacher who cast Hamlet from all of the people in our advanced English class, and she cast me as Hamlet, and being able to play that character at 17 and as a woman was just so much fun, and I don't know, kind of brought the text to life in a new way for me. I think maybe because it was a part that I'd never thought of myself in, and getting to say all these great words suddenly awakened something of, wait, maybe there's more to this than I had previously thought. And maybe there's more opportunities for someone like me and an actor of my bearing and gender than I could have imagined.
And I guess Emmanuel's whenever you're...
Well, there were a lot of meaningful experiences with Shakespeare early on. My dad happens to be a big Shakespeare fan, and he made sure to take me to see a production of Hamlet here in New York when I was very young, like 10. And I remember being bored to tears for about 2.5 hours until they pulled out the swords, at which point I lost my mind. And I'd also like to add that my dad, who introduced me to Shakespeare, actually agreed to be in the show that very first year to play Friar Lawrence, and he has come back every year, and it is the one remaining cast member of Occupy Verona, Romeo and Juliet, that has been in all 5 seasons.
He's fumbling around. So I was an actor when I was young. To be able to spend so much time on those things at that age, I came to feel that like Shakespeare was one of the people, one every 100 or 150 years, who knew everything. I've played opposite a different Romeo every year, and each one brings something different, and therefore kind of opens up new possibilities about how the two relate to each other, how the two care about each other, how the two love each other. And then also, sometimes I'm very much aware that nobody would die without me.
The thing that's excited me about this kind of pop-up flash mob performance style was this idea that we were making an audience out of people who didn't wake up that morning thinking they were going to be an audience,
right.
Least of all for Shakespeare. I remember in college learning about, Elizabethan theater and that time, what it was like, and you had all of the upper class people on the upper levels on cushions watching the play, listening for the language, enjoying themselves, and all of the lower class people standing, oftentimes screaming things at the actors or throwing fruit if they didn't like what they saw, relieving themselves in the corner, getting into fights. And there was always something that felt so joyful about that to me, just like that upright, engaged audience. And I love the feeling that we're kind of getting back to that with popping up and doing Shakespeare in front of people, New Yorkers.
And while no one's peed on us, we have had,
I mean,
people who did not expect to be seeing Shakespeare and did not like it.
So that's the really exciting element of it for us, I think, is this this feeling that anything could happen.
And the kids. That is the best part for me, is seeing little kids just enchanted. Just walk up, going somewhere with their parents, not expecting to see theater. This was not an event that was planned, but they just stop. No, wait, mommy, let me look.
Understanding what they see.
Yeah. There isn't this wall or this barrier. It's not inaccessible to a 5-year-old. It's happening right there. The most important thing to succeed in Shakespeare is to have a sense of curiosity. I think some of the most fun that you can have doing this kind of work is really delving into the language. Why did he pick this particular word? How does that inform you and what you want and how you behave? And the specificity of the language is eye-opening to A, the human experience, and B, to all the different possibilities of play. It's not heady, it's very visceral. So just to have that curiosity and interest in words and diving into them and bringing them into the real world as something out of the theoretical into the now. And that's what I love about Shakespeare and why I think it's so beautiful and lasting, because that language is so immediate and powerful.
A great Shakespearean is someone who's fearless, someone who wants to delve, someone who wants to make adventurous choices, someone who might have trouble getting out of a comfort zone, but is willing to make that effort.
But Shakespeare offers so much. He knew everything about the heart and everything about the head and everything about the body. And to be a great Shakespearean, you have to allow yourself to be opened up to all those things. He's collecting herbs and plants. He's kind of a chemistry nerd, as well as being a religious man and a mentor and a teacher. The gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And flecked darkness like a drunkard reels from fourth day's path and tightens fiery wheels. Now, ere the sun advances, burning eye the day to cheer, and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. And in the infant rind of this small flower, poison hath residence, and medicine power, for this being smelt, that part cheers each part. Being tasted, slays all senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still in man as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant.
Oh, then I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She is the fairy's midwife, and she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn with a team of little atomies athwart men's noses as they lie asleep. Her wagon spokes, made of long spinner's legs, the cover of the wings of grasshoppers, her traces of the smallest spider's web, her whip of cricket bone, the lash of film. Her wagoner is a small, gray-coated gnat, not so big as a round little worm pricked from the lazy finger of a maid. Her chariot is an empty hazelnut, made by the joiner's squirrel or old grub, time out of mind the fairy's coachmaker, and in this state she gallops, night by night, through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love. Or courtiers' knees, who dream on courtesies straight, or lawyers' fingers, who straight dream on fees, or ladies' lips, who straight on kisses dream, with Finish off the angry mab with blisters plagues, because their breaths with sweetmeats tainted are. Sometimes she gallops o'er a courtier's nose, and then dreams he of smelling out a suit. Sometimes comes she with a tithe pig's tail, tickling a parson's nose as he lies asleep, and then dreams he of another benefice. Sometimes she driveth o'er a soldier's neck, and then dreams he of cutting foreign throats, of breeches, ambuscados, Spanish blades, of health's 5 fathom deep, and then anon drums in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and, being thus frighted, swears a prayer or two and sleeps again. This is the very mab that plats the manes of horses in the night, and bakes the elf locks in foul sluttish hairs, which, once untangled, much misfortune bodes. This is the hag, when maids lie on their backs, that presses them and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is she!